name is Ryan, an animal care specialist here at the park. As animal care specialists, it is our responsibility and privilege to understand each of our animals in unique ways, fulfill their needs, and help people from around the world connect to their tails and want to help their species. Each of the animals you'll see on stage today plays a crucial role in their environment. They all have a special place in the world. But which is the most important? Which is the most impressive? By the end of this presentation, we'll be able to answer that question. So without any further ado, please allow me to introduce you to one of my favorite animal ambassadors, Moonbeam! Moonbeam is a 9-year-old green iguana. While it's not uncommon to find green iguanas in Florida, especially the further south you go in the state, did you know green iguanas aren't supposed to live anywhere in the United States at all? They're actually native to Central and South America, specifically Brazil and Paraguay. That's why in Florida they're considered to be an invasive species because they technically don't belong here and they're a threat to the environment. It's thought that green iguanas first began living in Florida when people purchased them as pets and later decided that they could no longer take care of them, so they just released them into the wild. Unfortunately, introducing a non-native species can have drastic consequences for the environment. They can destroy native plant life, prey upon native species to the point of extinction, and forever change the balance of the ecosystem. If you ever find yourself in a situation where you can no longer take care of a pet, one of the best things you can do for that animal and the environment is relinquish them to a professional organization. That's exactly what Moonbeam's previous owners did, and now he lives here with us. Moonbeam, like all reptiles, is an ectotherm. Who's heard that word before, ectotherm? Few hands out there, all right. What about cold-blooded? Oh yeah, a lot more hands. Well, ectotherm is just the new cool way to say cold-blooded. Moonbeam's blood isn't actually cold, it's the temperature of the environment. You and I are endotherms, or warm-blooded, which means no matter the weather outside, our body stays at about 98.6 degrees. But if Moonbeam were outside and it were 100 degrees, he'd be about 100 degrees. If it were 40 degrees, he'd be about 40 degrees. And if it were, 78 degrees, he'd be about 78 degrees. You got it. The amount of energy a reptile can use directly relates to their body temperature, which is why reptiles are generally more active in summer, wetter than winter months, and why green iguanas can thrive in South Florida, but aren't really a threat to invade Canada. At least, not today the skull of sweaters, eh? Geez, guys, iguana make you laugh, but you're a pretty tough crowd. All right, let's all say goodbye to Moonbeam. From nuts to fruit to meat to grain, at Busch Gardens, we have an entire team dedicated to the animal's diet. Each animal's diet is analyzed and approved by our veterinary team to ensure that every animal receives the appropriate nutrition. And our nutrition center team, they're responsible for preparing over 3,000 pounds of food every day to feed the animals in the park. It takes hours to properly wash, cut, slice, dice, and separate all of the food needed to feed our residents, including our next animal ambassador. Help me welcome Aries, our ball python. Oh, I hear some mixed reactions out there. Please, nobody throw a hissy fit. Aries here is non-venomous, and she most certainly isn't poisonous. Before we go further, let's make sure we all know the difference between poison and venom, because it might save your life. If you eat something and have a reaction, that something was poisonous. Poison needs to be ingested, while venom needs to be injected, whether through fangs, barbs, or stingers. The majority of snakes around the world are non-venomous, and even fewer can actually be considered poisonous. Most notably, a few keelback species in Asia, and even a common garter snake right here in North America. Whether you're looking at a snake that's venomous, poisonous, or none of the above, the majority of snakes are also considered to be non-threatening. Most people assume that most snake bites happen on our feet and ankles when we're out exploring the natural world. But the reality is, over 80% of snake bites are actually to people's hands and fingers. Because when they see a snake in the wild, they can't help themselves but to try and pick it up or shoo it away. The general rule is if you leave them alone, they'll leave you alone. Snakes are an excellent source of pest control. They eat things like rats, mice, lizards, moles, sometimes even other snakes. Now, you ever seen a snake stick out its tongue? What do you think that snake is doing every time she sticks her tongue out? Smelling. Exactly. Snakes have something called a Jacobson's organ. Every time Aries sticks her tongue out, she can pick up particles on the air or on the ground. She brings the tongue back in her mouth, pops it up in a little cavity. Using her Jacobson's organ, she can determine what, if any, prey has been nearby. And because her tongue is forked, she can even tell what direction that prey was likely moving in. So after all that, our friend Aries isn't so scary, is she? No. All right, let's all say, see you later, Aries. You're a fun audience. Conservation is a huge part of what we as a field do. Many species have been saved from the brink of extinction thanks to zoos. The California condor, the black-footed ferret, the Guam kingfisher, and more. AZA-accredited facilities like Busch Gardens participate in species survival plans. Here, we're involved with the African penguins, the tigers, the orangutans, and more. We also participate in SAFE programs, which stands for Saving Animals from Extinction. Here, we're involved with the Asian elephant, the cheetahs, and even the indigo snakes. Our conservation fund has supported many initiatives across the past few decades, helping wild animals in the places they call home. And did you know that the conservation of an entire ecosystem can come down to one species? They're known as a keystone species, and we're going to meet one now. Help me welcome Astro, our radiated tortoise. Now, as Astro finds his place on stage, I have a question to pose to all of you. When's the last time you ever sat down, looked at yourself in a mirror, and philosophically considered what is going on with a tortoise's shell? Can they fully go into their shell where they can recline and read a newspaper? No. Can they fully come out of their shell, leaving it behind and return to it later? No. Is their shell made of 60 interconnected bones? Is it fused to their spine and their rib cage? Yeah, you got it. Why am I asking you? Their shells are truly a part of their body, much in the same way that your spine is a part of yours. They have nerve endings there and can feel touch. Do you mind if I give him a little scratch? Astro really enjoys having the back of his shell scratched, just like so. And it's a great way that we can give him reinforcement. Now, how do you know if you're looking at a tortoise or a turtle? And what's the difference? Well, to keep it simple, every tortoise is a turtle, but not every turtle is a tortoise. If that gets confusing, think about it like this. Every poodle that you've ever seen is a dog, right? But not every dog is also a poodle. There are 49 species of tortoises around the world, and they can be found naturally on every continent, except for 2. Antarctica, which makes sense, it's pretty cold there, and they're ectotherms. But surprising to me was Australia. They have everything else, but they don't naturally have a tortoise. To know if you're looking at a tortoise or a true turtle, one of the best things you can do is look at their feet. Turtles, because they're designed for an aquatic or semi-aquatic lifestyle, have a lot of webbing between their digits, or they just have flippers. Meanwhile, tortoises have these cylindrical or elephantine feet because they don't really swim, but they might wade from time to time. No matter the species of tortoise that you're looking at, they're also considered to be a keystone species. That's an animal that contributes to its environment in so many ways that without that one species, the entire ecosystem could collapse. Some tortoises are burrowers. They dig dens or hollows that other animals would use as shelter. Some are seed dispersers. Some are opportunistic scavengers. They clean up carrion in their environment and keep it really healthy. That is a lot of work for one little tortoise. So how about a round of applause for Astro, our Keystone Radiated Tortoise. And now we find out if he's ready to walk through the curtain all on his own. It's a little bit of a hurdle that we're trying to come over with him. When he first started training here in the show, we actually started him at that curtain. So he really enjoyed it, and then we moved him further back and back and back until the point where he could start where he did today, which was right around here, and walk all the way over there. Unfortunately now, he just doesn't want to go back through. Oh, I guess we're going to start the tortoise section over again, because he wants to go that way now. That's all right. I guess let's go ahead and say goodbye to Astro. Positive reinforcement is pretty simple. Whenever an animal does something we like or we want to see again in the future, we give them something they like in return. This can be their favorite food, a fun toy, even a well-placed scratch, just like with Astro. This type of training allows us to build trust with the animals around the park and teach some pretty complex behaviors. Some that you might be able to see in presentations like this, and others like blood collections, radiographs, ultrasounds, things that could be critically important to their health here at the park. Positive reinforcement works with every species. Now help me welcome our next animal ambassador, Mel, our 2-year-old echidna. Now based on his appearance, what type of animal do you think Mel is most closely related to? Hedgehog, porcupine, my 2 most popular guesses. The reality is they're actually most closely related to the platypus. While these animals might look a little different, there's a few things they have in common, including the fact that they're both found in Australia, and although they're considered mammals, they also both lay eggs. That's right, female echidnas lay eggs. I'm not echidnaing you. Oh, geez. Can we get a laugh track? I feel better now, thank you. Mel was born, or hatched, I suppose, right here at Busch Gardens in Tampa. And we're proud to have one of the most successful breeding programs in the world for echidnas. Even so, there's not a lot known about their reproduction. But what we do know is that a female echidna will lay 1 single egg at a time in her own pouch. After 10 days, the baby hatches. Who out there already knows what a baby echidna is called? Kid? That's a pretty popular guess. It's actually Puggle. I think that's the cutest name I've ever heard for a baby animal, and I know you agree. Once the Puggle hatches, it'll spend another 50 days in Mom's pouch. Meanwhile, Mom digs a den to keep her and her little one safe. Speaking of digging, let's take a closer look at the nails on Mel. These nails are specially designed for digging, and echidnas will spend so much of their lives doing just that. In fact, it's estimated that a single echidna can move more than 7 tons of dirt in a single year, naturally tilling the dirt and soil throughout Australia. So just by being the incredibly unique little creatures that they are, they have a huge impact on their world. All right, let's all give a good Aussie g'day, mate, to Mel. Wonderful. Now, we met a lot of pretty amazing animals in our show today, but which of them was the most important? Which was the most impressive? Who thinks it was Moonbeam, our green iguana, able to thrive in an area green iguanas aren't found? No Moonbeam fans. I'm glad Savannah's not here today. All right, who thinks it was Mel, our echidna, tilling the dirt and soil through Australia? No Mel fans. I'm glad Chanel's not here either. Who thinks all animals are unique and amazing in their own ways? Yeah, there you go. You got it right. You knew what was coming. The correct answer is always all of the above. You can take that to your teachers. It's true that all animals are unique and have a special place in this world, but so do you. We all have different strengths, talents, and skills, but we're all part of this world together. Whether you're inspired to be the next great conservationist, a zookeeper, a veterinarian, or to just change a small habit at home, we can all have a huge impact on our world. And in fact, in some ways, you already have. just by being at the park today, riding rides, seeing shows, and having fun. You're helping support conservation, education, rescue, and research. So thank you for allowing us to do what we do each and every day, which is to celebrate and care for a world we all share. And on behalf of my co-workers, both human and animal, we hope you have a wonderful rest of your day at Busch Gardens. Goodbye, everyone.